Hello there, you're welcome to our Health Hour, your go-to podcast for informative discussions around women's health. In the gym, your car, kitchen, or wherever you decide, tune in every 2 weeks for new hot topics you don't want to miss. And hold on, do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms so you join the conversations at our Health Hour.
Hello everyone, my name is Hikmat and Balikis. Welcome to another beautiful episode of her Health Hour, and this is our first episode of the year 2026, and we're starting off strong. And with me in the studio is
Balikis Abubakar. Welcome guys to another episode of our Health Hour, and Happy New Year.
So this year we've started by launching our first wellness guide, and believe me guys, if you don't have a copy of that, then you're missing out big time. It is packed with realistic and sustainable ways to keep your wellness in balance. And most importantly, we have an accountability group that will guide you through all the step of the way. So if you haven't gotten a copy, believe me, go and get it and join the wellness train.
Yeah, go grab your copy and you won't regret it, honestly, because it's going to give you the holistic wellness guide that you really need to get your wellness back in check.
Absolutely. So today we're starting off strong, as we've said earlier. We're going to be treating the topic hormones. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you already have heard phrases like, oh, it's your hormone acting up, your hormones have gone haywire, this person is so hormonal. And maybe you've been often wondering, what does this mean? What does our hormones actually do? Why are they always held responsible for our actions or our reactions as women? So today we're going to dive right into that and give some insights on how that actually works, how to regulate, how it affects you, and also when to seek help. So, Balikis, have you ever heard this person is so hormonal, or your hormones are responsible for this kind of actions?
Yeah, of course. And especially for women, of course, men also have hormones that regulate different organs in their system. But for women, we are very, very vulnerable to how our hormones work together. The balance or imbalance, as the case may be, might affect how we react to things. And honestly, if you are thinking that, oh, my body is reacting this way, you're not crazy. It happens because some part of the necessary hormones that you need to function as a woman are probably not in balance. And we're going to delve more into those critical hormones that are required to help our body function well. Think about your energy level, reproductive, menstrual cycle, sex drive, everything is driven by hormone, right? So we are going to delve into the critical ones and how you can help keep it balanced so that you have a functioning body and your body is not working against itself. Yeah, so people often will blame hormones every time when something is not working properly. So maybe we can start with what hormones are. Really.
So as Balikis has said earlier, men have hormones too, but it's just that for women, it is constantly evolving and adapting just because we have a lot of biological processes going on, like puberty, we have breastfeeding, we have pregnancy, we have menstruation, we have menopause, perimenopause, and so on and so forth. So our hormones are constantly adapting to a new phase, and that can seem tiring for some, and it is hard to adapt for some people as well. So it is very important to know about how this works, how to give yourself grace, and when to seek help, as we've mentioned earlier. So hormones are simply just the chemical messengers in your body that tell your body what to do and when to do it. So if your body requires for you to, let's say at puberty level, if your body wants to send a message and say, it's time for us to start the menstruation cycle, then it is going to release a hormone and says, okay, your body has to. If you're pregnant and your body needs the hormones to support the pregnancy full term, then the body releases the hormone that does that. So same for metabolism, same for breastfeeding, same for menopause, and when to stop producing eggs and all that stuff. So that is how it works. So hormones are simply chemical messengers in your body that tell the body what to do and when to do it. And they affect your energy level, your sleep, your metabolism, and so on and so forth. So it is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are those critical hormones that we would like to delve into? There are so many of them, but maybe we can just be selective. As a woman, what hormones should you keep an eye on? Because your hormones need to be balanced for you to have a balanced health, be it your metabolism to help you with your weight, or be it your sleep, or for all TTC moms also like trying to conceive and getting pregnant, you need to keep an eye on your hormone levels. So what are those hormones that are very, very critical to look out for?
I think we're going to be treating like 3 or 4 hormones today. And starting off strong, we'll start with estrogen, which is commonly called the women's hormone or female hormone, as a lot of people say. But this doesn't discredit the fact that men have it, but it's just more dominant in women. It's called estrogen. So it's the one that supports the menstrual cycle, the bone health, the skin and hair, the mood and brain function. So if you're a woman, you need to make sure that, this particular hormone is balanced. If it's not, then you might have irregular periods, or heavy and painful periods, mood swings, gain around like the hips or thighs and stuff like that. Because it doesn't also, side note, it doesn't always mean that when a woman has weight gain on the thigh or she's bigger on that side, it doesn't mean that her estrogen levels are off balance. So yes, you would need a proper diagnosis to know if your hormones are balanced or not, or if your estrogen levels are fine. But these are like common indicators that that particular hormone called estrogen is not balanced. Yeah. And I think we can go to number 2. Or Balkis, do you have something to say about this particular estrogen?
No, I think you've covered it all. It's the base kind of hormone for females, right? So that one has to be in check. It supports reproduction. It supports every other kind of hormones that you have. So if something is wrong with that, it's more like creates a domino effect and affects every other hormones as well. So yeah, that's a critical one.
Yeah. So the second one here is the progesterone, and the progesterone is the hormones that brings balance and to the body. It controls your sleep, so it ensures that you as a person gets quality sleep. It controls your anxiety. It gives you like a healthy menstrual cycle. So if that is off the charts or imbalance as well, then you see yourself having anxiety through the roof. You don't know why you feel anxious about everything. Your sleep is disturbed. You're waking up at different irregular intervals. You find yourself tired but unable to settle into sleeping. And also, if you have PMS, like some people, the PMS is normal, but some people have it like on a different level. Maybe they have stomach aches, or before they actually get their periods, they get a lot of some symptoms that are not usually like normal as someone who their progesterone levels are settled or balanced. So those are some things to look for, especially with the anxiety and lack of sleep or, disrupted sleep. It often shows up or, goes off balance, especially after childbirth with the anxiety and lack of sleep. Like usually when one has a baby and the child keeps waking up in the middle of the night, and it's not like the regular routine you're used to. Maybe you're somebody that usually gets like straight like 8 hours sleep, and then you find yourself waking up every 2 hours to attend to your baby, then definitely it is going to affect you. So your body is going to send a message through the hormones. This is survival mode right now. Why is this happening? So definitely it's bound to be disruption in how your body functions or how you think, how you react. And these things are very, very crucial. Most people actually become regulated over time as sleep comes, and as the sleep becomes constant and regular again. and yeah, it's all settles down by itself. So sometimes you just need to wait it out and see after that period, everything would settle down by itself. And you necessarily don't need any medication or anything to regulate it. So that's for progesterone.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Yeah, if you don't sleep well, I know
Yeah.
we often hear 7 hours, right? So if you don't sleep up to 7 hours, like you can mess up your cortisol, which will affect your progesterone. And we're still going to
Yeah.
talk about cortisol hormone, but if your progesterone is not balanced, you are going to have other difficulties, right? Because if you are not sleeping well, your
Yeah.
sugar level is going to crash and your whole body is just going to be in survival mode, as Hikmat mentioned. So progesterone, even for people trying to conceive, this is your pregnancy hormone. So
Yeah.
this one is like very critical for you to be able to conceive, for you to be able to have a regular menstrual cycle as well.
Yeah. And I also said it's like, especially for the postpartum moms, you just gave birth and your body is going through a lot of emotional disruptions. So you always have to be on the lookout and slow down. You don't have to do
Yeah.
everything at the same time. So give yourself grace. These things are expected and they're just biological processes. And it doesn't mean that you're broken or you're a failure because you're feeling like that. It's just another phase and your body is trying so hard to survive and keep you safe. So it's very important to note that. And as Balkis had mentioned earlier, you mentioned cortisol, and that's actually the next hormone that we're going to talk about, cortisol. Balkis, have you ever heard about cortisol phase? Because I saw it somewhere.
No, but I know how critical it is, especially as it relates to stress. So
Yeah.
most times they'll tell you, like, if you are really stressed about something, your cortisol level can increase,
Yeah.
and then that causes a problem, right? So you need to keep an eye on chronic stress.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it's just a thing that has gone around on social media about, when people see people having, especially like your face is not proportional to your body. So someone might be like maybe skinny or slim or whatever, but they have this kind of, what is it called? Like double chin, or just under their jaw is just fatty, like there's a fat accumulation under their jaw. So people think, oh, that's cortisol phase, and the person, without even any diagnosis, they just conclude that, oh, the person is stressed, that is cortisol phase, and like that. But that is a myth that we would like to debunk today. Like, not everybody that has fat accumulation on their face, cortisol phase, or their cortisol level is high and stuff like that, or they're going through chronic stress in their lives. Some faces, the shape of our faces doesn't directly reflect our hormones. It can be like that in some cases, but we can't just generalize and say, oh, anybody that has a fat face or double chin has high cortisol or going through serious stress. So the term about cortisol phase is not entirely true. So we're going to treat cortisol, and it is called the stress hormone. So it is the hormone that tells the body when to calm down, and it regulates your energy levels, and it is the one that protects you from burnout. But when you're be resting and getting enough sleep and it is not happening, this hormone is actually really stretched to the max, and then you start feeling also similar symptoms to like the progesterone. You can't settle into sleep, you're unable to function properly, you feel fatigued. You're just talking like maybe analysis paralysis. You're just there thinking, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get that done, but you just don't have the energy to get into what you have to do at that particular time. And this often means that the cortisol levels are high. And most times what you need to do is just rest and take things slow in order to be able to curtail the rise in the cortisol levels. So, Balkis, is there anything else you would like to add for the cortisol?
No, I think you've covered it. The name also called stress hormone says it all. So
Exactly.
And sometimes stress is not very obvious. It might not be the usual things that can spike our stress level, like maybe work or something. It might be something as little as maybe relationship issues or
Yeah.
something. Just even like trying to conceive on its own can also like sort of put you in that cycle of your stress level is up, you need your hormone to be balanced, but stress is up, your cortisol is up, is affecting your progesterone, you're not getting pregnant, you're stressed because you're not getting pregnant, and then you keep having that cycle until you deliberately sort of break it and try to calm down on certain things that are stressing you. For me, one of my goals this year is to remove all kind of stressors as much as I can. So I'll encourage everyone, if anything is stressing you, find a way to put them aside, right? Put that thing aside, replace it with something else that will give you calm and give you peace of mind, really. Because stress, honestly, it can destroy so many things in a silent way if you don't keep an eye on it. Yeah.
And the high cortisol level can even show up as craving of sugar, and you just feel burnt out because the cortisol level is high. The body works hand in hand, especially with our emotions as well. How you're feeling, it contributes to how your hormones or how your body would react. And that's why a lot of people
Yeah.
you always have to be in a positive headspace. It's a way of like programming your brain, give out what is good and send good messages, which are the the hormones, yeah, because they're the
Yeah.
chemical messages in the body that tell the body what to do and where to do it. Yeah. So the hormone we're going to treat here is insulin. Yeah. But please, what do you know about insulin? Because when I hear insulin, my mind suddenly just goes to diabetes. I don't know.
Okay. It's about
Yeah.
the blood sugar, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
if your insulin is not balanced, you have insulin resistance, which means your
Yeah.
body will not be able to like sort of pick out the good part of the sugar that you need. And then if your blood sugar spikes, your energy level is affected and you then end up needing more sugar. And then that's when you start seeing your waistline, for example, is going to like increase, and at the
Breathe.
end of the day
Yeah.
it's going to affect your progesterone level. And because
Mhm.
you need progesterone level as a woman, it just creates that domino effect. So, and that one is something that we need to keep an eye on, because it's very easy for you to sort of increase your sugar intake if you are skipping breakfast. For example, 10
Yeah.
a.m. in the morning, you're already taking like maybe morphine or something to sort of increase your energy level, and then by afternoon you're already crashing, you're already like so tired, and because your cortisol is then going to increase, your body is constantly saying that there's problem, there's problem, there's problem, and it's fighting itself, trying to see how the hormones can work together. Because if there's something you should understand already from everything we've been saying, is that these hormones, they work hand in hand.
And
So
yeah.
the
Yeah, I've just
insulin is
noticed how
also,
when you mention one, another one just they're all intertwined.
yeah, they are. So insulin is like also as important as
Yeah,
the progesterone, the
mhm,
estrogen, and the cortisol that we've mentioned earlier. And
yeah,
insulin is one that we can easily mess up with, because it's directly linked as well with what we are eating and
yeah,
how we are how our body is processing that at the end of the day. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why we mentioned earlier that your hormones control how your metabolism works.
Yeah.
So in your digestive system, if your insulin is not working properly, you start feeling constant hunger, energy crashes. As Balkis has mentioned earlier, you took a muffin in the morning and then the sugar crash. Yeah, so you get sugar cravings as well, and you have difficulty losing weight because insulin resistance. Yeah,
Exactly. And then also, like, yeah, another thing I wanted to mention on insulin is because insulin level, if it also increases abnormally, it affects your testosterone level. As a
okay,
woman, or as women, we also have testosterone levels, right? Even though it
yeah,
shouldn't be too dominant. And that's why people with PCOS really need to keep an eye on insulin level, because yeah, it can increase the testosterone level, which will then impact ovulation. Because for ovulation to happen, the hormones need to be in a delicate sort of balanced level. So if that happens and your insulin is increased, your testosterone is increased, your estrogen level is going to be affected, and then you're going to see that you are going to be having irregular periods, or you will not even be ovulating at all. So keeping an eye on insulin level is very important. What we eat is very, very critical.
Yeah, it's very important. And as you have mentioned earlier about PCOS, you see how everything is just intertwined, because when the insulin disrupts your testosterone and makes it high, you're unable to ovulate. And, a lot of women that have PCOS have trouble ovulating. And this in turn registers as irregular menstrual period. You can go a long time before your menstrual cycle regulates, or even menstruation actually even shows up, because you're not ovulating. For menstruation to happen, you have to ovulate. And for ovulation to happen, your hormones have to be balanced. So they all work hand in hand. And that is why it is extremely important to keep everything at bay and keep it balanced for all the processes, your metabolism, your sleep, your reproduction, whatsoever. Everything, all the bodily functions are dependent on our hormones and what it tells you to do. So we need to keep it in check. And you checks, I think there are home kits on how to check your insulin levels. I don't know for other hormones, but particularly for your insulin, you can check your blood sugar at home with test kits. If you have certain symptoms, like constant hunger, energy crashes, sugar cravings, difficulty losing weight, it might be worth a try. Or you've been diagnosed with PCOS, because a lot of people that have PCOS have high insulin. So that it might be worth investing in maybe a sugar checking kit, just so you're in control and you know when to ask for help. And yeah. So I think that would be it for insulin. So yeah, if there's anything you'd like to add, Bilkis, before we move forward.
No, I believe we've covered everything around insulin, so let's just progress forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to also, we've touched on testosterone, which we also mentioned that women need a bit of that. It helps with sexual drive and every other, important part, working together with our other hormones that we've mentioned. Another one will be the thyroid hormone. So think about this helping with your metabolism specifically, and also your temperature, body temperature. Many women, if they are ovulating, for example, part of how they will know is maybe they have increase in temperature, and then they're able to tell that, oh, okay, it seems that amongst other symptoms, it seems that I'm ovulating. So your thyroid hormone is also important, in addition to the others that we've mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So I believe as we were discussing all of these hormones, we've also talked about how they work together. It's just like being on a group chat and you're seeing every other person's message. So if they see that if your progesterone, for example, says that your estrogen level is too high, it will sort of impact, how much your body is going to produce for that. It can produce too little or too much for your progesterone as well. Or if your cortisol level is chronically high because of stress, and then it will take some part of your progesterone, and then you are having irregular period, you are having inability to sleep well, and it just keeps going in cycles. So one key thing that is also important, aside the self testing kits that Hikmat mentioned, is that as women, we need to pay attention to our body. So any sign that you are seeing, it could be something as little as maybe you're having, acne, breakout and all. It might be your body telling you that I'm having to deal with so much. Maybe your stress level is so high. And some people see it, right? When they are very stressed, maybe they just see pimple and they call it stress pimple and all. Our body has a great way of sending us signals when things are not balanced up. So let's pay attention to that. And let's also try to do screening, like just run tests. If you go to any hospital and you be like you want to run hormone health test or something, they know what to do. They know the key hormones to check out for. So if you can just put that as something that you do on an annual basis, it will help you. You see an endocrinologist if your hormones are imbalanced. That will be the practitioner to help you with that. They'll tell you medications to take, tell you supplements that you perhaps need to take more of because you are not getting all the nutrients that you need from food. Just ensuring that we as women, we have it at the back of our minds to always pay attention to our body and do medical checks as often as possible, even if you are not trying to conceive. I mean, there are so many, so many things. As Ikma said, yes, in the beginning, our life as women, like the different phases,
Yeah.
hormones are at play, right? Perimenopause, menopause, everything. It's all about hormones. You are either having too much or too less of a particular kind of
To
hormone.
just your
Yeah.
balance.
So keeping an eye on that is very critical. So we've already touched on how all of these hormones work together, and the next part that we like to talk about is how you can tell the self checks to
Yeah.
tell if you have hormonal imbalance, right? And I'll give a practical example. If you are listening to this, one thing you can do is just go to a quiet place, and as we talk through some of the things that you might notice when you are having hormonal imbalance, you can start to think of which part of this are you checking. If you are checking so much of it, it's a wake up call for you to call your doctor and tell them that you want to do a test to understand if you have a balanced hormone profile, right? So if, for example, you are finding it very difficult to catch up to 7 hours of sleep per day, so maybe you are sleeping very late, you are on Instagram till midnight, you are waking up early the next day with traveling to work, Lagos traffic, or wherever you're commuting from, and you are seeing that you are skipping breakfast. You don't just feel like eating most days. You are skipping breakfast. You are eating, just based on how, when your body is telling you, I'm really hungry now, and then you just eat something fast. You take something that might not be very healthy for you, and you just feel that at the end of the day, you are very tired. Like, you are finding it difficult to still sleep again. So you are just going cycle by cycle every day, and your body is constantly thinking that there's going to be war, there's famine, and it's holding on to nutrients that should help it function well. And your body is going to feel like, if you are trying to conceive, your body is going to tell that no, we can't have a baby in this environment. This, you are dealing with so much. Exactly. So if this is sounding like something you are experiencing, it means that your hormone is not balanced. And another way to know is also if you are having irregular periods. This one is a very strong signal.
It's a
If
strong signal.
Yes, if your period is cycle is 28 days this month, and the next month is 35, next month is 42, my sister, something is happening.
Right.
Yes, something is happening. Something is not balancing out, and that is your hormone. So you need to check that out, because if you are not menstruating regularly, you most likely not be able to track anything. You most
Yeah.
likely not be able to know when you are ovulating. And if you are a TTC mom, this one is very critical, because if you are not ovulating, how can you get pregnant? If you don't know when you are ovulating, how can you ensure that something is happening around that time? So it all works hand in hand, as Ikma mentioned earlier. So, I mean, those would be some pointers. Ikma, do you want to
Yeah.
add anything to that?
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I would like to. The feeling fatigued, and it's not like you did something serious or something hectic. You're suddenly just tired for no reason. Or, in fact, I think a common thing that happens is when you wake up and feeling tired than you went to bed, that is a huge indication that something is off. Because when you wake up, you're supposed to be feeling energized from the previous day or the previous hours in which you went to bed, and you're supposed to feel more energized. But when you wake up tired than you were when you went to sleep, it's a
Mm.
strong communication. When you're constantly anxious, it's not like something, major is happening. You're just anxious for no reason, or you become so emotional for no reason. These are what looking into, because oftentimes all these kinds of signals that are not major are constantly swept under the carpet with the guise of this person is just too sensitive, or this person is just too emotional. It's not like, but these can be signals that early symptoms that something big is about to happen or it's about to get worse. So symptoms should not be swept under the carpet just because they don't seem serious. A lot of worst case scenario often starts out as subtle signs that we overlook and feel like, oh, hey, it's normal. So that's why it's very, very important to communicate, and you should have a qualified healthcare personnel that you're constantly checking in with. Oh, I feel this way, is this normal? And especially if it is persistent, consistency is something that you have to take note of. You might have some body pains or feeling fatigued for a particular time, and that goes out. But if it's constant, if it keeps coming back, if it's persistent, then it is worth looking into, and do not sweep it under the carpet. And as we always mention here, go to a qualified healthcare professional to get yourself checked. They would often do like a hormonal profile, get you checked, blood tests, whatsoever. They'll be able to tell you which hormone is not balanced, your exact diagnosis to know when to act, because a lot of people just say, oh, I have hormonal imbalance. I have hormonal imbalance. Which hormone is imbalanced? How does it affect you? What is the treatment plan? Do you have to wait it out? Do you have to get it treated? So those are questions that you yourself cannot answer unless you get a proper hormonal profile test done. So it is very important you find a good healthcare personnel, qualified one, to get your hormones checked out.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, if most of what we described, if you are checking those lists and you're like, this sounds like something that is happening to me, honestly, don't overthink it. You are not your body is not failing you, but it just needs help, and it's screaming that get me checked, get this checked, to do something about this. So you listening to this episode right now is even like a first step to healing. And then, as we will always say, we are not medical professionals, so try to speak with your medical professionals and just do a test, understand, as Ikma said, know what the treatment plan is, and then you can go from there. So another thing I would like to mention actually is, as women, especially these days when you're on social media, you're seeing so many people saying, oh, I lost 40 kg in 2 weeks. I lost this in see, when you see those things, you need to be careful, because if we are losing weight, you need to try and lose weight in a sustainable way that will not harm you. Because if you do too much exercise, if you skip meals, you are doing 1 meal a day. When one person is doing 1 meal a day, it doesn't mean that will work for you. If you do 1 meal a day, and let's say for example you are trying to conceive, you're not doing yourself any good. Yes, especially if your doctor did not say that, yes, I agree, you can do this. You didn't even check that you can do that, but you're just doing it because you also want to lose up to 20 kg, 30 kg. Yes. See, if what happens is, if you exercise too much, you are also going to cause your hormones to be imbalanced, right?
Exactly.
Because
Especially not before, like it's not something you're used to. Those people that it might work for, maybe they've been like a gym rat. They've been doing it. So
exactly.
it needs to be calm, it needs to be gentle. But when you just jump like really, really hard and intense on your body, the body is going to be like wondering like, oh, what's happening? We've never done this before. And then it bites back. Like, what are we doing?
Yes.
It's trying to
Yeah,
keep
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's why we say gentle wellness
is the key, right? As a woman, gentle wellness. You should be gentle with your body. Yeah, that's why if you've not checked our wellness guide, honestly, what are you waiting for? Because part of what we did with that wellness guide is that we ensure that it is consistent steps that you are taking. You are building your strength day by day. You're not just going from 0 to 20 all at once, which could impact something in your overall health. So please, yeah, negatively, let's keep an eye on that. Don't overwork yourself. Don't You might do too much of something that is good and it will end up being giving a bad result. So I just wanted to call that out, that we need to keep an eye on that as well as women.
Yeah. Key. We get influenced by things we say. And I really like that you mentioned that, because we don't give ourselves enough grace when we see that, oh, this worked for this person. We're all built differently. We all have individual differences, what could work for us and what could not work for us. So if you're using somebody else's prototype, you want to definitely backfire. So, and then you now be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. It is simply not the way your body requires to reach the goal that you intend for it to reach. So maybe you need to try something else. Some people do better with maybe strict diet. Some people do better with gentle diet, something like that. Or just simple portion control, or simple just gentle exercise, walking, like that. You necessarily don't need the gym. And I think I'm divulging too much about what our wellness guide actually entails. I shouldn't be doing that, but go and grab a copy and see what we have packed.
Yes, exactly. So we've touched on very briefly the different disruptors that could cause hormone imbalance, and we've mentioned sleep, we've mentioned stress, but honestly, that stress, we need to stress it out and ensure that people actually get the point that stress is number one thing you need to keep an eye on. Honestly, so try incorporating things that can distress you. It can just be like going to do it for a spa, can mean you just pampering yourself. When they talk about emotional health, mental health, stress is related to all of those things. It can cause so many things to go wrong. So keep an eye on stress. If your job is stressing you out, find ways in which you can manage that in a better way that won't really impact your overall health. And another key thing is trying to do meditation. This is something that has worked for me personally, just trying to take out few minutes, and we are going to teach you how to do this. If you get our awareness guide, you try to meditate. It really helps. 5 minutes per day, and you clear your head and you just feel that inner peace. Is very important, and identifying your stressors, because sometimes it's not the obvious, as I mentioned earlier. It might not be something very obvious. It might be something very little that is just causing your body to think, what's happening here? Do we need to increase progesterone? And your progesterone goes up, it spikes, right? And then you just start craving, and then that impacts your blood sugar, your insulin, and you are just experiencing so many domino effects from your hormonal imbalance. So keeping an eye on stress is very, very critical.
Yeah, it is very critical. And I would like to add, also striving to eat balanced meals. To eat, and I think we've mentioned that before. A lot of processes in our body depends on our metabolism and what we feed our body. So what we eat is really, really important. If you're not eating balanced diet, you can you disrupt a whole lot of things, and some are not easily digestible. It just causes you a lot of imbalance. And if you're eating too much sugar, too much carbs, insulin, which might impact all other hormones that follow. So it is very, very important to, with the little you have, not everybody is buoyant enough to, afford, let's say, balanced meals. But most importantly, you should just try to see how you can, with your budget, get what you know that would not impact, because the money you refuse to spend on what you feed your body, you would have to use it to cure that might befall you later if you continue recklessly or carelessly. So it is very important. As they say, prevention is better than cure. So if you're able to, please, it is very important to take your food, your balanced diet, and ensure the proper functioning of your body and your home.
Yeah, I agree. That one is another disruptor.
Yeah.
The diet, that one, it's even non-negotiable. You can't be talking about healthy life and you are not eating something healthy. No, that cannot work. Yeah, so keeping an eye on what you eat is like very, very critical. Another one is sleep. I know by now you probably are tired of hearing about sleep. Yeah, because that one also is non-negotiable. Trust me, like sometimes we especially for people that really like to be productive, you feel like sleep is for the weak. You better listen, like you need sleep to function as a person. You need sleep because it will help you to stay healthy so that you are healthy enough to face the next day. So sleep is not for the weak. Sleep is a necessity. So you need to get at least 7 hours of sleep, because if you're not getting enough sleep, as we've said, it's going to impact your cortisol level. Cortisol level is going to impact your insulin because you'll be constantly hungry. And this happens a lot. Any little work you do, you're already tired and you feel like rewarding yourself with sugar, with chocolate, with this and that, and then you create that reward system in your brain, and then you continue to eat something sugary. Like, today I've not eaten at all. So you see cake, you eat it, and all of those things. I'm not saying you should stop everything all at once, but keep an eye on it. If you manage your sleep well, you'll be able to manage your stress. You'll be able to be intentional about what you're putting in your system. So sleep is very, very critical. And from my side, I also like to mention another one, which is more about like our environment, right? You cannot be talking about hormones and you are still doing more and more inside plastic. It cannot work, right? Yes, you need to ensure that you are keeping an eye on your exposure to plastic
waste,
or your exposure to the kind of pots that you are using. You just need to like keep an eye on those things, because you don't know how, when you ingest them in your system, you don't know how it impacts your hormones. And there are many scientific research now that have shown that all exposure to plastic and the chemicals in it can actually affect our hormone levels, right, and other things in our system. So if you are able to try and do fragrance-free things, your soap, your cream, you might not be able to change everything in one day, but this is just, we are putting it out there for you to keep an eye on it, because at the end of the day, there's still evolving research around all of these things. But if you can do without them, then why not just try to do without them, so that you can see that you are not using yourself as an experiment as to how they will impact your hormone profile exactly. So that's another thing that I would like to mention.
Yeah, that's really, really important, especially the plastic part. And also, monitoring the kind of pots you use to their research. Should our audience please endeavor to do your research about things that can impact your hormones. There is only few that we can mention here. There's a lot of impact, though. As women, this is just a tip of the iceberg, and it leaves you wondering if there is more and there is more. So, and it's an urge for you to like go into research and know what you're putting in your body, what to do and what not to do. And sorry, I would also like to add that it's important to get your body moving, however small, even if it's 30 minutes a day or something like that, a simple routine just to reset your body, or just not to be sedentary, because sedentary lifestyle is killing us. There's a lot of jobs that don't require you going, something like that. And the kind of lifestyle that we live often just entails us sitting for the most part of the day. Like we have people sitting 10 hours out of 24 hours. And it's not too good for your body. So you need to get your body moving in the little way that we can. We see a lot of people getting like walking pads now, even when they work from home, they want to use the walking pads just to keep the body active and not sedentary. So it is really, really important. Movement is good for you. Eat food, you need to get moving to aid your digestion, your metabolism, and the rest.
Yeah.
That is also an important factor. Get moving, and it's really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. At this point, I believe we've covered like so many things.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing we also want you to remember is that last part we said about, the environment, like what you have in your kitchen, the plastic, even your beauty products, like, or make it part of you to check what's ingredients are in what you are putting in your skin as well, because you never know, right? Some of these things are endocrine disruptors and they just sort of affect how your body processes things, and some of them can mimic a particular kind of hormone and just make things go north. So just keep an eye on those ones. So we've mentioned many things, and I'll just want to recap, especially around things that you can start to do today that could help you have a balanced hormone. So first of all, if all the things we said about disruptors and signs that you should look out for, if they are sounding like something you are experiencing, we already said it, please book an appointment with your medical professional and try and get it checked. And also like lifestyle changes. We've mentioned that you need to eat well. Don't skip meals. Try and eat every 3 to 4 hours. Try and ensure that you are eating something nutritious for your body. It's not like you should stop eating just because you want to lose weight, you want to have tiny waist and all. At the end of the day, all of those things can affect you if they are not done sustainably. So try and move, as Hikmat said, move your body, go for 15-20 minutes work. It's not like you should overwork yourself. Don't go and be doing exercises that like so much. Take it gradually, build your strength level so your body also gets accustomed to what you're trying to achieve and it works in your favor, not against you, by disrupting other things that are important. And also sleep. Try and catch enough sleep every day. Try and put your phone away 1 hour before your sleep so that you are focused on sleeping. See sleep as something you need to do, you need to pay attention on, and you see that you start seeing results. For some people, even just like 30 minutes more sleep can make good changes in how their body processes the rest and how it helps them with their cortisol levels. So we've talked about eating, we've talked about moving, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about your environment, making sure that you have things around you that will help you remove plastic as much as you're able to. We're not asking you to change everything about your life overnight, but just keep an eye on it. Exactly, take baby steps and keep an eye on it, and making sure that you are intentional. I think it's that intentionality that really matters at the end of the day. So have I missed anything? I believe that's like a fair recap of the things that we've mentioned, Hikmat.
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful recap, Balikis.
Yeah.
And I believe our audience have gotten an awareness, and I advise they should run with, because awareness is really important. So do your research, get help, listen to your body, and yeah. That's just all I would like.
Fantastic. And guys, we are working to even bring like medical professionals to still talk about this particular topic. So watch out for that, and we're going to do that as time permits subsequently. So we really appreciate you for listening. If you have any questions, you want to share your story anonymously, as always, our DMs are open on Instagram, on our social media platforms. So please, you're not alone. You can share your stories with us anonymously, and we're going to listen. We're going to share our own piece of advice, but eventually we will refer to that you see a medical professional if that's what you need based on your own case. Yeah, so Hikmat, any final words from your side?
Yeah, so this is just particularly about our wellness ebook, and if you're our audience listening to this episode, please and please go and grab your copy and take your health seriously, your wellness seriously today. And as we've said earlier, it is sustainable. It's not a strict diet or, pressure-based system. It is sustainable. And believe me, it's not just for 30 days. It's something that you can continue with even after the whole session, the whole first 30 days. So it is very, very important that you get your copy and let's get on the wellness trip.
Yes, and that's one thing I like about it, actually, because guys, we are also like using it, and for me, it's day 8 and it's really going well. What I'll say is that you can repeat it, right? So you can, the next month, you can start to
Not just
do
for
it
30
again.
days.
You reset, exactly.
You
Exactly.
restart.
So, yeah,
Sustainability.
thanks to our health hour for creating that. And
Yeah.
I really hope if you're listening to this, you just check it out and you thank us later.
Yeah. All right, then we've come to the end of today's episode. See you in the episode. Until then, Hikma and
Balikis, thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a lovely day. Bye.
Bye.
Information shared on this podcast are not to be considered medical advice. Always consult with a qualified medical professional for all your health concerns. Thank you.